Today, I want to talk to you about why ELLs are best served in an immersion language model. If you want to learn how to swim, you have to get in the water. It's the same with learning to speak another language. The immersion language model is a method in which ELL students are taught a second language through content area instruction. Students learn by being immersed in the new language through lesson, classwork, and discussions with peers and teachers. These programs generally emphasize contextual clues and adjust grammar and vocabulary to the student's proficiency level. Foreign language immersion is a well-researched education program. ELL children are diverse in age, formal education backgrounds, first language, cultures, socioeconomic status, first and second language development. They also have diverse program options based on where they live. Some ELL children enter the U.S. formal education system at the secondary level, and others at the primary level. For some children, it's the first time they will have the opportunity to be in a classroom, hold a pencil, or use a book. They will have had seamless first language content instruction in their countries of origins and will possess literacy and academic content knowledge and the skills to transfer it into their new learning environment. Language immersion has emerged as a unique, constituted, highly effective program model for launching students on the road to bilingualism, multilingualism, and intercultural competence. School-based immersion programs follow a variety of paths, including bilingual immersion, dual language immersion, and two-way immersion. While each path targets distinct social-cultural contents and educational needs, are all grounded in a set of core characteristics with a strong focus on subject matter learning as well as language development. Each path also falls under one of the following. Total immersion is where all schooling is conducted in a second language, where they're taught through simplified English. Partial immersion is where 50% of the school day is conducted in the second language and the other 50% is done in the native language. Content-based foreign language is when about 15 to 50% of the class time is spent in the foreign language. And finally, foreign language experience is when 1 to 5% of the class time is spent in the foreign language. I'm going to focus on total immersion and partial immersion, which is what most ELL students experience here in the U.S. Each bilingual program has an ELL component to it. It uses the first language of the learner, as well as English, to teach English proficiency in all models. In some forms, it allows the learner to develop full academic proficiency in both the first and second language while learning academic content, while in others, it has its goal of academic proficiency in English only while learning academic content. Children in language immersion programs reach higher levels of language proficiency than those in other types of world language programs, while also demonstrating increased English vocabulary and overall cognitive development, and constantly outscore monolinguals on tests of verbal and nonverbal intelligence. In the immersion language model, children learn the language through culture, art, and music, with less emphasis on more common teaching methods like rote vocabulary memorization. Now, it's essential to note the differences between submersion and immersion. In both classrooms, the learner is exposed to a learning environment that is dominantly or completely in the second language. However, these are two essential differences between these two approaches. In submersion, no real support is provided to the learner. On the other hand, the immersion environment is filled with educational support, language is sheltered, and learning is content embedded and region scaffold and hands-on learning opportunities. Furthermore, philosophical and cultural tenets require the teacher to be linguistically and culturally sensitive. One argument against immersion language model is that immersion teachers face significant hurdles in the sheer range of learner differences, learning styles, and special needs. Many findings show that at-risk students are not only as successful in immersion education as they would be in English medium classes, but that immersion may be their only chance for acquiring a second language. It's important to remember that if learning a second language is considered valuable for all students, immersion education may be more appropriate for language-disabled students than a traditional foreign language program introduced later in the student's school experience, and may be more effective for those students, because immersion programs follow a natural path of language acquisition, one that mirrors the path taken for their first language acquisition. Many of the problems that students experience in the school setting aren't necessarily linked to the language of instruction. Immersion teachers also rely heavily on multiple forms of delivery to communicate new concepts in the target language, using audio, visual, and many times kinesthetic methods to deliver the same information. These are some of the reasons I believe ELLs are best served in an immersion model. They're fully supported, and in partial immersion models, they're able to strengthen their academic studies not only in English but in their native language.